I mean, I realized that practicing lead guitar is super fun and everything, and you know, it's like the guy doing a solo, he's up at the spotlight, or the gal these days. So there's both rip these days. There's like 3-year-old kids that just burn ripping solos. Like 3-year-old plays Ozzy Osbourne's Mr. Crowley, and you're like, holy crap. Point being, what we need to start doing is like, man, that person laid down a fat, solid groove, and the song they made was epic. Because, you know, let's face it, songs brought us to guitar, and it's awesome to learn songs. Learn all the songs you can. But now, you know, like back in the day, it was like, you know, you're playing to the tune and you're like, man, that sounds great, but you're playing with the song. So it's like, is it the song sounds great or you sound great? Well, how do we accurately know if what we're doing sounds good and is pocketed? I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna play to a freaking drum groove. And it's the most fun you're gonna have on guitar. It's like, I could do this for hours. It like, seriously, because there's like endless supplies of loops and all that stuff that you can get out there. And so practicing with a loop, whether it's rhythm or lead guitar, A, it's gonna get you better. B, it's super fun. And where am I? C, it opens the door to creativity, right? And so that is like super rewarding too, because you can take a simple chord progression and turn it into something of your own. Now, sorry if I sound like I'm a 7-year-old child that hasn't learned how to blow his nose yet. It's here in Tennessee. Is like, you know what I've discovered is like, there's all these like the goddess of Saturn and the sun, and there's all these Greek gods, and there's like Hindu gods of like destruction and all that stuff. There needs to be a god for pollen, or goddess for, let's go with goddess of pollen. And she comes around with her little pixie dust of doom and sprinkles it all over everybody. And it's like, oh, look at the beautiful flowers. Too bad you can't smell them. Pollandina Maximus, maybe that's what her name should be. Anyways, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a simple drum loop. By the way, I'm Brett Papa. Thank you for joining me once again. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and click the bell down below. But anyways, that being said, we're gonna play to a drum groove. Now, like I said, you can get these all over the place. I got this one from Superior Drummer 3. Great drum program, especially if you're the creative type. Easy Drummer 3 is even better in my opinion because it's simpler, but there's hundreds of drum loops in it. Basic beat. Let's start it over. So what we need to start doing to get locked into a groove is play off the subdivisions of a drum. So what I mean by that is there's like a kick and a snare, obviously the doom, da, kick, snare, kick, snare. Think of that as like a metronome, right? Going back and forth. Now the part about a metronome that sucks is there's all that space in between the clicks. So that's what the hi-hats are doing. And a lot of times people talk about playing off the kick and the snare, but listen to the hi-hats too, because that's where a lot of the groove comes in. So what we can do is, if we're not that special at rhythm yet, mute out this hand over here and just try to hit on those kicks and snares, right? Just muted notes. Ready? Okay, so once that happens, what you want to do is maybe try to sync up with those hi-hats, right? Or the eighth notes. So what we can do, 3, 4. Right? It's all muting, not even making a note yet. Then what we can do is pick a string or a chord. Instance for this, particular instance, we're gonna pick an A chord. And then maybe we just try to hit on those kicks and snares, like. Okay, sounds good, but it's kind of trashy sounding. So maybe we try muting just the A string or the A chord with those hi-hats. So. right? Could be any 80s song. Yeah! Okay, so from that point, maybe we start to do little stabs with the chords, right? And think about the duration, right? You could have a quick hit, like the chord could just come through just in the same amount of duration that the hi-hat would be. So really short, so you could have like little short stabs where you could mute predominantly throughout the groove, but then come in with those little stabs. That would be like this. Now the next thing that you can do is you can let one of those chords last from the kick to the snare, but right when the snare happens, you want to come in and start it over, right? So just that duration between the kick and snare. So like to there, right? Here to there, here to there. And then maybe follow that with some of those real quick mutes, right? So you got now maybe we're like, okay, great, that's an A chord, awesome, whatever. So add two other chords. We can go G, and D chord with, F sharp in the bass, cool sounding chord, right? So we can add those in there too and kind of now start to make more of a typical song out of it, right? So maybe we start off with a good A chord and we work our way into those other chords, right? So okay, so all I'm doing is I'm taking a basic idea, right? Those basic chords, A, G, D with F sharp in the bass. And I'm working off of that premise where I let some of the chords ring, followed by muted notes. Maybe like one of the things you'll see people do in rhythm to add a little bit of excitement so it's not all the same hits is a quick down, up, down, and then coming in on the downbeat. Now you can also grab a note from one of those chords. In this instance, I'm grabbing that G note. And just doing a little bit to break up the monotony of just hearing that A chord all the time. You can do stuff like, right, the C note. Or like another option would be to that kind of stuff where maybe you're taking the C to C sharp. Maybe you add this kind of D chord with an A in the bass. Right? So let me show you what this exact same thing starts to look like and sound like when you start adding those little subtle manipulations. Maybe you don't play all the chords the same volume, right? You want dynamics, so maybe you kind of pulse a little bit off of that muted note. Check this out. So we'll add a little dynamics to our muting. We won't hit every note the same volume. We'll add dynamics to it and create kind of a pulse, right? So. Right? Maybe you're playing with how loud or softly you're hitting those notes, right? And then also think about that. right? So when I came down here, I started opening it up. I wasn't hitting just muted notes. I started letting that build, right? So that's part of rhythm too, is that how you approach hitting the notes muted to louder, getting into another part, right? So here we go. From the A chord. Maybe we build. '80s chord, here we go. RJ Ronquillo was over here the other day doing like a freaking wicked blues course that's coming out. It's so freaking good. That guy is so awesome. But he busted, so I typically do this chord, you know, that kind of D chord with an A in the bass. And he did this chord. And I was like, what was that? And it's just that same chord we all do here. But add your pinky right there. Right? So all of this is broken down. I got a new rhythm course out. People have been asking me to do a rhythm course for forever, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I don't want to just have you copy tunes or whatever. What I'm trying to do is show you a new way to practice so you engage the creative aspect of you as a player, because I think people get lost in like, what would I even do? Well, that's what we're going to cover. It's all about rhythm and getting your rhythm chops better. But B, it's really about unlocking that creative thing and making a simple GCD sound good. And also how quickly you yourself can become a creative guitar player with just a couple of tips, right? And we're gonna obviously go over how to play songs. I got a freaking wicked Nashville session band that you're gonna play some tracks to. There's a lot of different drum grooves. There's funk, there's rock, there's southern rock, all sorts of styles covered. But this is basically the foundational floor. There's gonna be a lot of these rhythm editions that are gonna be coming in. We're gonna have rock, hard rock. We got a Nashville session edition. We got all these other, rhythm editions coming in soon. But this one's like foundational, and also, again, how to access that creativity in yourself, because that's when guitar really gets fun. It's amazing to copy other people's licks, and you have to do that to learn and to build a vocabulary. But man, spending 15 or 20 minutes a day actually playing and making something out of thin air, I can't even tell you how rewarding that is. If you haven't done that, I think that will also give you the confidence to start improvising, right? If maybe you want to become a lead guitar player, well, start rhythmically learning how to make things exciting first. And this absolutely works when it comes to lead playing as well. So you can take everything you're learning here and apply it to lead playing. And I'm going to argue that your lead playing will be even better once you're a great rhythm guitar player. This is where I'm practicing my time now, is how to get better at rhythm, because being around all these, session guys and, having the luxury of having some really incredibly talented friends as guitar players, when they come over, what I find myself being most shocked by now is how good they are at rhythm guitar, right? And that is a completely understated thing, but all of them that come over here, whether it's Guthrie or Jack or Kirk Fletcher or Tom Bukovac or Oz Noy or Jeff Mackerley and Corey Congeala, all these guys that have come over here are wicked rhythm players. So let's spend some time getting good at that. Maybe the young folks out there will write us some killer songs so we can all rock out into the future, because God knows we need that in our lives. I'm going to leave a giant, massive sale link down in the description box below. The course will be on sale for the next 5 days at a massive discount, so check that out. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everything that you see here, all the free videos, are because of all you out there who support the cause at brettpapa.com. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the continued support. We'll catch you next time.